Football fans far and wide. From Liverpool to Madrid, boy, do we need to talk about this one. Welcome to the Football v Football podcast. Yes, from Liverpool to Madrid, that means we are going to talk about that Champions League, the match that just concluded here. Liverpool getting wrecked by Real Madrid, 5-2. We're going to jump in. But I want to remind you, if you're on YouTube, give a like, comment, subscribe. If you're on a podcast platform, subscribe. Give a 5-star rating if possible. But we're going to go ahead and jump right in here. Real Madrid lay waste to Liverpool in this one in the first leg of the round of 16 Champions League matchup. Had to get a few thoughts out here because this was an absolutely fascinating game. The tide turned all the way from one end to the other. I'll start by saying this. Liverpool is not the team they once were over the past few years. They play timid. They play scared. Their defense is not in sync. They're not a cohesive backline. You know, defenses in football should be as though they're arm in arm, like in a battle formation. And Liverpool once was that, but no longer. You have Trent that barely defends, focuses on his attack, which is still above average, but no longer exceptional. As we saw today on many kind of below average crosses, especially from some of his corners. Just at the end of the game, he just had no legs left. But I have to admit, some of which, by the way, were good. But the attackers like Gakpo, Nunez, Jota, Firmino, and even my boy Salah couldn't collect and couldn't finish. Just severely lacking poise. Then you have Joe Gomez, who is incredibly prone to error and giving up the ball, always hanging all the way back in the formation. Then you have Van Dijk, who once was a fierce enforcer on this team, no longer has the skill or aggressiveness to play that role. He's much more reluctant these days to even come forward on set pieces for his signature headers. Just seems lost on the pitch a lot of the times these days. I think he is cognizant of his own diminishing skills at this point. And then finally you have Robertson, who, despite his scrappy best efforts, also has diminished in skill. Although I must give him credit. Robertson is their best defender at the moment. And he did have one very key block of a goal towards the end of the first half, which looked like it was going to be a sure goal to keep the score 2-2. And those four have been playing together for years, but somehow have grown apart. And I think that they've individually kind of suffered atrophy in their skill, and it's glaring at this point. You know, after the 20th minute, they didn't even look like they belonged in the Champions League at all. And, of course, as we saw, the keeper, Alisson, did one better than his counterpart, Courtois, clearing the ball right at Vinicius's legs. In a clear display of what I can only describe as hubris, thinking it'll somehow go through Vinny's legs, or I don't know what he was thinking there. And the saddest part of all this is, at 2-0, Liverpool up 2-0 at home, 14 minutes into the match, could have just parked the bus, not allowed any away goals, and very likely preserved their spot in the next round. But as we saw with the Newcastle game, who had 10 men and were withdrawing their stars, much weaker competition than Real Madrid, Liverpool are so poor on defense, they couldn't have even parked the bus if they wanted to. They don't have the skill to put more people in defense and block the attack. Going through the goals, Okay, Vinny's first goal, not nearly enough pressure on him. They need to be more aggressive, put more pressure on him. There were three Liverpool men in his vicinity, and just let him shoot. Vinny's second goal, we discussed Allison's hubris. The third goal, perhaps the most egregious of them all, Modric on a set piece fed Militao for a wide open header. All 11 Liverpool players were in the box. All 11 of them. Go back and watch this. None following or marking or covering Militao as he made his run for the header. Absolutely pathetic. Anyone coaching football should show this goal to your club as a cautionary instruction as to what happens when you don't mark up. The fourth goal of this 5-2 game, that's when it's a when it rains it pours scenario. Fortune is the residue of design here. You know, Madrid was attacking well, passing impeccably well, and Benzema hit a shot with not a ton of power. Almost 100% would have been stopped by Allison, but took a deflection off Gomez, who was trying to defend instinctually. But in hindsight, knows he should have let a weak ball like that be handled by the keeper. And the fifth and final goal was a complete breakdown by Liverpool, a complete defensive breakdown, a complete team breakdown. Poor goalkeeping angle by Allison on Benzema. Three defenders couldn't get to him to stop him, netting a goal even though all three of them were in front of the goal. Benzema just collectively, calmly, left foot into the left side of the net there. Now, it's only fair to reflect on the whole story of this game. Obviously, the first 20 minutes for Liverpool were extraordinary, remarkable. Just a remarkable start with energy and pace, much like the game they played Saturday at Newcastle. The Salah to Nunez cheeky backflip goal. That was absolutely a thing of beauty. That first goal by Liverpool, and it looks like Darwin has finally kind of shaken off the tepidness he's shown um, from earlier in the season, from earlier in his stint with Liverpool. Salah capitalizing on Courtois' carelessness, also very good. And he had to strike it from a tough angle on the outside of his foot against a long guy like Courtois, right in front. You know, when a long guy is right in front of you like that, it's not as easy as you think. So kudos to Salah. But after that, Liverpool, completely fell apart for the remaining 70 plus minutes. And that's not a sustainable way to play matches. Like I mentioned earlier, if you have a club that has the ability to park the bus, then sure, put all of your offensive effort into 2 goals in the first 20 minutes, and then park the damn bus. But this club doesn't have that. They're struggling mightily on defense. Looking ahead, the second leg in Madrid, Liverpool will need an absolute miracle to pull this off. They'll need that Barcelona Champions League miracle from a couple years ago, and they don't have that team anymore. Their only hope is that I noticed Madrid in this game did not employ a defensive strategy when they were up 4-2 and 5-2 with a good chunk of the match left. So perhaps it's not Madrid's style to play defensively, and Madrid's defense is capable of allowing, as we saw, but attackers must be composed and skilled at finishing. That's the glimmer of hope that Madrid have in the next leg here. But all signs point to Madrid, being the better team, but more importantly, the more confident team. And they seem more comfortable with the feeling that they belong in this tournament, in this position, advancing. While Liverpool, given their 9th place in the EPL this season, may be suffering from imposter syndrome. That's the best I can see here. And we have Zaki joining the call here. We'll see what he has to say. Zach Attack, are you there? Zaki. Okay. It doesn't look like Zach's on the call here. But so I just wanted to get those thoughts out on this podcast here, recapping the Liverpool Real Madrid game. This is just a quick recap podcast, so I want to thank you all for tuning in here, and we will be discussing more of the Champions League matchups as they progress into this tournament from the round of 16 onward. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Have a fantastic day, football fans.